What's up, Porch Nation? Welcome back to Porch Nation headquarters here in Worcester, Massachusetts, as we start our 15th season here in the Greatest League and our third season of the Porch Nation recap series. Once again, we're back for another season of numerical excitement, and I am your host, the Commish. We're in for an exciting 14-week regular season, followed by our 3-week postseason. 17 weeks of fantasy football and this self-produced show. Funny to think I've already done 35 of these, and I'll be halfway through to syndication when this year is over. That's right, we're on season 3, and I'm still just one scandal away from being canceled. Come on, scandal, save me. As I said, our league is now 15, and it thinks our taste in music sucks. Our style is dated, and by the way, it's staying over its friend Braden's house this weekend because his parents aren't lame, and they have Paramount Plus and let them watch Twitch on TV. I swear I smelled cigarettes coming from the league's bedroom, but when I asked about it, I just got it dodged and got the silent treatment for 3 days. Anyway, I'm back with more by the numbers, no nonsense league updates and recaps. And of course, I'll try some silly weird things too. But the league we love will operate the same as always. Still no PPR or 3,000 point games. All right, let's get down to it and check in on our week 1 numbers. But before we do, I would just like to wish a welcome back to Ethan, who some of you may remember managed a Western Division team from our second season in 2010 through 2015. In a minute, you'll see how comfortable I made his transition back, whether I like it or not. All right, that's enough from me. On with the show. Week 1 of 2023, 8 games of no-holds-barred fantasy football action. Let's get into it.
Hey, what was that sound? It was opportunity knocking.
No one knocked, you just barged in.
Knock, knock.
You were right, Donald. It makes more sense for you to enter first.
It's okay, Daddy. We'll just start over.
Why don't we just dive in to whatever this is?
All right, week 1 started us off with some in-division matchups, and you'll remember we play our in-division opponents twice per season, and each division winner earns a playoff berth, so these games are extra important. And we'll be seeing these exact matchups again in week 12 as our regular season nears its end and we finish the final 3 games in division. Okay, so let's kick off this week's games with a fan favorite rivalry, Pete and Dylan. These two had their day, duking it out in Super Bowls way back when, and as division rivals often see opening week action. This time around, we weren't exactly treated to fireworks as these two combined for the lowest scoring matchup of the week. I saw so many zeros at tight end this week in fantasy football, and Pete's team was no exception. Once again, we see mediocre play by Lamar Jackson, and that coincides with a Pete loss. Our other East Division matchup was the highest combined score of the week. Josh Marshall had this week's 4th highest team score against Jeff's 7th highest. Jeff's was another team with a 0 at tight end. You're not alone, buddy. Despite having this week's single highest individual scorer in Tua for Jeff, Josh rolls on to his first victory of the season, and these two will head north for week 2. Speaking of way up north, congrats to those of you who were in Boscawen last Saturday for yet another successful harvest for Marshall Farms, and thanks Josh for another great weekend of fanfare, great food, and grueling physical labor. You'll be seeing some of the fruits of that labor per usual as we get on into the autumn months. Also in the north, we saw some highs and lows, including this week's second highest score from Super Bowl attendee Jim Berger. Despite only having 2 offensive players eclipse 10 points, including 7 3/4 points from Dak, the Dallas D absolutely crushed with bonus points for a shutout, 7 sacks, and 2 defensive touchdowns. I haven't had time to research it, but that has to be close to the all-time for a defense and was absolutely the highest scoring roster spot this week in the entire league. Without that, the difference in this game would have been 10 points. In the other North matchup, Steve had the second highest scoring player, and Joe's team seemed to suffer from an identity crisis without Kelsey and Evans. Only Mahomes and my cousin Jake broke 10 points for Joe, but like Joe's team, a lot of point producers fell shy of what we've come to expect of them in previous seasons, and as is often the Week 1 conundrum. We saw our 5th highest team score out in my division, the West. Ross saw some great fantasy play from rookie Anthony Richardson despite his NFL debut loss, and Alex had 5 offensive players combined for 11.8 points. Ross wins this one by just shy of 30 points.
Welcome back.
And the other West matchup was the return event of the decade. Well, actually, it looked like we were both struggling to throw the game at one point. I pushed out this week's 3rd lowest score, but after the Jets defense came to play and rallied after losing Rodgers, Ethan eclipsed 100 total points. I left this week's 3rd highest scoring player in Mac Jones on my bench in favor of my keeper, Hurts, and so it goes.
Lost all the liquor money, boys.
What?
That's the way she goes.
That's the way she goes?
That's right. That's the way she goes. That's what I said.
So you lost all our drink money is what she goes. She's gone.
That's right. It's the way she goes. Sometimes she goes, sometimes it doesn't. She didn't go. It's the way she goes.
And finally, on to our South Division, home to our reigning Super Bowl champion, Matt Skinner. It would have taken a Herculean effort from Andy's team to take down the defending champ this week, as Skinner posted our highest team score of the week. To make matters worse, Andy lost 2 players looking poised for big seasons in Rodgers and Dobbins for the remainder of the year. And finally, our game of the week. Going into Monday night, this game kind of looked like a blowout, but Josh Steinberg's team came screaming back in the Jets-Bills game. Adam was done scoring after the Sunday afternoon games were done and watched as his lead dwindled bit by bit on Sunday night into Monday night. Ultimately, Josh would fall about 8 points shy, but this was our closest game of the week by far. The next closest margin was 19.5 points with Josh Marshall and Jeff. Adam and Josh Steinberg head west next week for Week 2. All right, there you have it. Week 1 is in the books. 13 more to go in the regular season, and we have so much to look forward to in the coming weeks, including a rematch of last season's Super Bowl in Week 7. I think that's enough words for 1 week, though, so until next week, keep thriving, Porch Nation! Is that my bus? No, that's not my bus. That's my bus.
Bloop.